So, you've made fresh pasta. You've mixed the dough, rolled it out, cut it, maybe by hand, maybe with a machine. But how are you going to sauce it? A hearty ragu might come to mind, but how about some sauces that are more appropriate for warmer weather? In this video, I'm going to share my blistered tomato pesto with almonds, zesty artichoke pesto, a spring pea pesto, and asparagus pesto. They're dirt simple, insanely delicious, and you can whip them up in less time than it takes for your pasta dough to rest. First things first, let's talk tools. You can essentially make it work with whatever you've got, but these are the tools that I like to use to make the process as breezy as possible. Obviously, you'll need a pot for boiling pasta water, but I also like to have one of these skimmers or spiders or even a large slotted spoon. In one of the recipes, you'll quickly blanch your veggies, and if you lift the veg out with a skimmer, you can reuse your blanching water to boil your pasta. I also like to use smaller appliances for these pestos rather than hauling out my full-size blender or full-size food processor. I'll use a simple immersion blender or a mini food processor, sometimes labeled as a mini chopper. Both of these do the job quickly and make fewer dishes when all is said and done. Okay, on to the first recipe, creamy asparagus pesto. The ingredients are beautifully simple: asparagus, garlic, a bit of butter, and a blop of mascarpone. You'll also need some lemon juice, but make sure to zest before juicing so you can use the zest for garnish. First, some really simple knife work. I've already given my garlic a quick mince. Next, I'm going to snap off the more fibrous ends of my asparagus, like so. And then I'm just going to run my knife down its length to give it a quick chop. The asparagus and garlic both get really quickly sauteed in just a bit of butter, mostly just to soften everything enough to blend smoothly. The goal is to not overcook, maintaining the springy, fresh flavor and color of the asparagus. When the tip of a paring knife can pierce the asparagus with little to no resistance, you're done. Next, we puree. I use an immersion blender for this since it's such a small amount, but a small food processor would also work. Add a bit of water as needed to help the process, and blend until very smooth. Add the mascarpone, whisk to incorporate, check your seasoning, and that's this pesto done. On to the artichoke pesto. This is a no-cook pesto with very simple ingredients. Jarred artichoke hearts are the star of the show. You'll also need lemon juice and zest, toasted almonds, parsley, a bit of neutral oil, and scallions. I do like to use jarred hearts instead of canned because the quality of the oil and brine is usually much better. Canned hearts will work in a pinch, but in my experience, the brine has an astringent, unpleasantly artificial flavor that's really hard to mask. With our lemon already zested, the only other prep we have to do is give the scallions a quick chop so they'll break down more evenly when we puree them with the other ingredients. Combine your artichoke hearts, parsley, scallions, almonds, and lemon zest, and give them a whiz. Scrape the sides as needed until you get a fairly even texture. Add the oil and the lemon juice and continue blending and scraping until smooth. This is going to be a slightly chunky textural pesto, so you don't need to worry about it being perfectly smooth. A little bit of texture is fine. It should look like this. Our third pesto is a spring pea pesto. You'll need snow or snap peas, which will blanch, plus garlic, pine nuts, basil, olive oil, and lemon juice. Before we blanch the peas, I'm going to combine the garlic and the lemon. Letting the garlic hang out in the acidity of the lemon juice significantly tames the garlic's raw bite, which I find preferable for a no-cook recipe like this one. Blanching is a great way to quickly cook and tenderize your spring veggies without losing their vibrant color. It's also an opportunity to season if you salt your cooking water well. When your peas have cooled, transfer them to the bowl of your mini food processor. You can also use an immersion blender, but I don't recommend a regular blender or a regular food processor because the small amount of peas can be a bit fussy with larger machines. Blitz your peas until they're finely chopped, then add your basil, garlic and lemon juice, and the pine nuts. Puree again, scraping as needed until mostly smooth, then add the oil. Puree and scrape the sides as needed until fully combined and the pesto has lightened and become as smooth as you like it. Give your pesto a taste, adjust your seasoning, and this pesto's done. It should look something like this. Last but definitely not least, a super savory blistered tomato pesto. You'll need grape or cherry tomatoes, a whole garlic clove, leave this unpeeled still in its papery skin, finely grated Parmesan, toasted slivered almonds, anchovy fillets, and a light-bodied extra virgin olive oil. The anchovy in this recipe, as in many recipes, is about the boost of umami and salt, not about tasting fish. It adds a really mouth-watering foundation that boosts the natural savoriness of the tomatoes and cheese. First, we're going to blister the tomatoes and garlic. Add them to a hot, dry skillet, ideally stainless steel or cast iron. Cook them without disturbing for a few minutes until the bottoms are blistered and deeply charred. Give the pan a shake to flip the tomatoes and let them blister on the other side. Transfer them to a bowl or plate, being careful not to puncture them. You don't want to lose any of that juice. Now we're going to build a pesto. Start by blitzing your almonds in a mini food processor until finely chopped. Peel your blistered garlic, then add it, the tomatoes, and anchovy to the almonds, and buzz up the mixture until mostly smooth. Pour in the oil and add the cheese. Puree until the mixture is smooth and has lightened to an orangey color. It should look pretty much like this. Mostly smooth, but still a little bit textural from the almonds. Dressing your pasta is the same process for all 4 of these pestos. As soon as you pull your noodles out of the water, toss them with the pesto and a splash of cooking water. The starches in the pasta cooking water help to emulsify the fats and make the pesto cling to the pasta. You decide what texture you want. More water will make it looser and more lightly coated. Less water will make it thicker and more heavily coated. Then, just garnish as you please. For the tomato pesto, which is deeply savory but also quite vibrant and zippy from the barely cooked tomatoes, I like to add a pinch of chili flakes, more Parmesan, and some parsley or chives. I also like basil for an aromatic punch, but honestly any tender herbs are really nice here. They act as counterpoints to the savoriness of the pesto. For the asparagus pesto, which is just a little bit creamy from that mascarpone, I love a bit of Parmesan for nutty savoriness, a pinch of chili flakes, some chives, and big curls of lemon zest. The zest in particular is really nice. It really plays well with the lively, fresh asparagus flavor and the subtle creaminess of the mascarpone. The artichoke pesto, which is a tiny bit briny from those preserved artichokes, is lip-smackingly good. I think it's especially nice with the fresh savoriness of chives, the brightness of parsley, and the extra nuttiness of some toasted almonds. Parmesan is, of course, a fantastic addition, adding extra savory oomph. If you're so inclined, I also recommend finishing with a drizzle of your best extra virgin olive oil. It just adds a bit of yummy, grassy richness that the artichokes love. The spring pea pesto is so fresh, and I really like to lean into that freshness by topping it with a dollop of ricotta. I like to dollop and mix in gradually as I eat so that I can decide how cheesy I want my bites to be. I also love it when I can find fresh baby pea tendrils to really play up those spring flavors. Peppery radishes add a nice crunch, and chives are just yummy on this. A light drizzle of extra virgin olive oil adds a nice mouth-coating richness, but honestly, if you're using ricotta, you could definitely leave it out. Let me know in the comments if any of these 4 pestos look good to you, and if you're ready to cook, I've got full recipes and how-tos for all 4 of these pestos on my website.